This is a very special chunk of wood sent to me by Bob. You may know him as Topomax Survivor over on lumberjocks.com. He sent this to me a number of months ago, and I've been holding on to it, waiting to do something really special with it. It's called Mammoth Kauri, and it comes from New Zealand. And the tree that grew this was growing before the Ice Age. The trees that grew the kauri were knocked down by a giant tsunami and left buried in a peat bog. And it's only recently that people have gone and started to extract this ancient wood, which has been perfectly preserved in peat. This chunk of wood has been carbon dated at between 30 and 50,000 years old. Doesn't look a day over 40,000 to me. But anyways, so you can see why I really wanted to use it to its maximum potential and get as much out of it as I can with very little waste. So, and also I wanted to do something that would really show off the wood itself. I'm gonna make a lamp. I bought a brand new blade for my bandsaw, and I'm going to resaw this into several 1/4-inch pieces. And there are my 5 panels sanded down to a 1/4-inch thick. And yeah, I'm pretty happy. That's maximizing that wood. And if you notice the Mammoth Kauri, I can really see the wood right now. And it pretty much looks like pine. But it's got an unusual scent to it. In a strange way, it reminds me of my grandfather's shop from when I was a boy. And I really like that smell. I want to thank Scott Egbert for sending me a huge stack of wood. It's all over here still. Included in that wood was some Brazilian cherry that is nearly 1 inch thick. And I'm going to rip that down to make the frames. This lamp is a great opportunity for me to use my Fibonacci gauge to determine the golden ratio and determine what size to make it. So I've kind of got it set up here, and I'm going to measure what the width is. I'm going to use this dimension here. And so if I take that, move it over this way, I'll know that the height of my lamp should be that big. Now all I got to do is measure it, and I can cut off these to use for the side posts. I even bought a brand new router bit so I could cut these slots out. And what these slots are, these are for the side panels. And well, actually, here's my little crude drawing that I drew up last week. And so these slots are going to hold these horizontal pieces of the frame, the rails. I need to route out this slot for the stiles that go on the sides that will fit in, like that. So to do that, what I've done is I've set up a stop block over here and kind of measured out where it needs to go. And what I'll do is drop it down, feed it through, stop it that way, come back, feed it through the other way. Alright, so I've cut the slot in 4 of these stiles, and that will fit like so. Now I need to cut one on the adjacent side to fit the next panel. And to do that, what I had to do was basically just reverse these stop blocks so that, now I can feed it through that way. And now I can see how it's sort of going to look. So there's my basic setup. Now I got to get started on these rails and the lap joints. Alright, so by cutting out those dados, basically I'm just making this little lip over here that is going to be the bottom and the top rails for each panel. So now what I need to do is cut out this little section so that it can slide down in there. Well, by cutting a number of those dados, I get kind of this weird shape here. These are going to be the stiles, and so these rails are going to fit in like that and like that. And then on this side, well, you'll have another one that'll fit in like this. I decided to glue up 2 of the panels first and let those dry, and then I'll try to assemble the entire thing. And I left these overhanging here, and rather than try to cut miters, which I thought I would do, and which now seems really crazy, I'm just going to lop those off straight. Easy enough. Well, this is a pretty tricky glue up, but I think I had the right approach, and I think it's going to work out. And finally I get to glue this all up, and wow, a couple of my lap joints, well, they pretty much suck. There's a big gap in them, but hey, wood filler to the rescue! For the top of the lamp, I've just cut a mitered frame, and I just glue it up. All of the panels on this are just free floating. I should have been a little bit more careful about those gaps that I was showing you, and started to ask myself, why are those gaps there? Well, let me show you this. This is after I've got it all glued up, and it's totally out of square, and it's because these little gaps over here, and it's because they weren't fitting correctly, and I went ahead and glued it up anyway. And I can't believe that the one project that I'm taking so much care with, I screwed up on that one little thing of checking for squareness before I glued it all up and let it set. So I'm happy though that I didn't glue any of these panels in, that they're just floating in there. So what am I going to do with this? And take it apart, redo it. And here is take 2. I spent a lot of time on this one, being very careful with the lap joints. And I don't know if you can see that. There's some pretty tight lap joints in there. So another thing I did is I'm not going to cut these off until this is all glued up. Oh, and yeah, I checked it for square this time. I'm putting some quickset epoxy into some holes that I drilled, and I'm just going to drop some rare earth magnets in each of those. This is my base for the inside, and I've cut it out of 1/4 inch MDF. And what I did is I cut a large hole in the center so that I can get the wires in there, you know, once it's all inside. And a couple of holes here to mount it. It's offset a little bit because these are offset. So, you know, it'll sit down in there, something like that, and then I'll have the screws will just fit down in, like so. I decided to finish this with just a coat of linseed oil. It really brings out the luster in this wood, and I didn't want sort of that plasticky look that you sometimes get with lacquer or polyurethane. So this will be really nice. I screwed in some really small screws into each of the corners of the top piece. So that should hold on just like that. And just move it around to where it needs to be, and this project is almost done. Alright, I've wired in my cord, which will sit in there like so, and probably dust it off now. Let me darken the lights and see what it looks like. And here it is, plugged in. Let me shut the garage door and we'll take a look at it in the dark. Ooh, it's getting darker and darker, and hey, that looks pretty cool. I wonder how my camera will react. Well, not very good, but it came out pretty well. Well, there you have the completed Japanese style lamp using ancient mammoth Kori wood. And again, I want to thank Bob for sending that to me. That was really cool. Let's see, what lessons can I take away from this project? Well, one, make sure I always square up projects before I glue them up. And usually I try to fix my mistakes. And I actually tried to fix this and it just wasn't working out. So once in a while you just gotta bite the bullet, tear it apart, and redo it. Thanks for watching. Come visit me at my website, woodworkingformeremortals.com, and visit me on Facebook too. I'll see you guys later.